All right, today we're going to crack open some seriously ancient wisdom, but I want you to think of this not as some dusty piece of history, but as a practical, usable guide for our inner lives. We're diving into the work of a 7th century spiritual master, Maximus the Confessor, and what he came up with is, honestly, a surprisingly modern-feeling roadmap for the soul. I mean, think about it. What if spiritual growth wasn't just about, having good intentions or feeling a certain way? What if it was more like a structured, detailed program that you could actually follow step by step? Well, that is exactly the perspective we're going to explore. Maximus doesn't just give us a destination, he gives us a full-on itinerary. And look at this. This isn't just some old, faded manuscript. You've got to see this as a 1,400-year-old training manual for the soul. Seriously. Maximus wrote this stuff to give people a clear, systematic way to understand and, transform their inner world. Now, it can be a little dense, for sure, but it is packed with these incredible metaphors that just make the ideas click. Okay, so let's get right into the first huge idea. When you hear Maximus talk about the cross, he's not talking about some one-size-fits-all concept. Nope, he's talking about a personal spiritual workout, one that's tailored specifically to you. And this is the key phrase right here, his own crucifixion. For Maximus, this isn't about trying to imitate someone else's spiritual path. No way. It's about figuring out the specific inner work that is uniquely yours to do. It's basically a customized training plan for your soul. And this workout, it has levels. You start with the basics, right? Dealing with the obvious stuff, the wrongdoing. But from there, you go deeper into your own psyche. Healing emotional turbulence, calming that nonstop chatter in your mind, and even learning how to manage those intrusive thoughts. It's like a ladder of inner discipline, moving from our outward actions to the absolute most subtle movements of the mind. But it's not all just hard work and discipline. I mean, what comes after a good workout? You gotta refuel. And that's where Maximus shifts gears, introducing this absolutely beautiful new metaphor, a divine feast for the soul. The big idea here is partaking. See, for Maximus, wisdom isn't just something you know in your head. It's something you have to integrate, to absorb, until it literally becomes a part of you. He's inviting us to see spiritual knowledge as a kind of food that nourishes our entire being. So, this feast, it starts with what we listen to. The ears of the soul are what take in the foundational teachings and wisdom. You can think of this as the appetizer, right? The first course of the meal that kind of sets the stage for everything else. Then it moves to our sight. The eyes learn to look past just the surface of things and start to perceive the deeper meaning, the principles behind the physical world. It's about developing a completely new kind of vision. And of course, this spiritual nourishment has to translate into action. That's where our hands come in. They're how we put this all to work, actually living out these virtues in our day-to-day lives. This is knowledge made real. And finally, we get to the stomach. This represents the very core of our being. This is what digests all that spiritual food and turns it into a brand new kind of fuel, the energy for constant contemplation and a deeper connection to the divine. And you can see right here in the original text just how detailed he gets with this. He's talking about the breast, the intestines. Every single part plays a role. It's this incredibly holistic vision where the entire person becomes a vessel for receiving and processing divine wisdom. It's really quite beautiful, isn't it? Okay. So we've had the workout, and we've had the feast. The final metaphor is the one that ties it all together, seeing the spiritual life as an epic journey through 3 distinct lands, and it's all based on the Passover story. Now, Maximus actually borrows this framework from another great thinker, Gregory of Nazianzus. He uses the story of the Passover, or Pasch, as this powerful allegory for passing from one stage of spiritual maturity to the next. It's a map. So let's break this journey down. It all begins in Egypt, which represents our ordinary life, right? And here, the main job is practical virtue, just cleaning up our act. Then we pass over into the wilderness. This is a higher stage. This is the realm of contemplation, moving beyond just actions to understanding the world on a much deeper intellectual level. And the final destination? That's the promised land, a state that goes beyond even the intellect, leading to a direct union with the divine. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Maximus says that within this grand journey, people can embody different roles or archetypes. You don't have to fit into one single mold. So the question becomes, where might you find yourself on this map? He gives us these two incredible archetypes from the Old Testament, Leah and Rachel. Leah, she represents the path of action, the hard work, the labor of practical virtue. That's the Egypt stage. Rachel, on the other hand, she's the contemplative. She represents the path of knowledge and deep insight, much more like the wilderness stage. The point is, both are totally valid paths to wisdom. And he doesn't even stop there. He offers other roles, too. You've got Simon of Cyrene, who finds his path through simple, ready obedience and service. And then there's the grateful thief, who actually transforms suffering itself into a path toward the divine, just through acceptance. The big takeaway here is that there are so many valid ways to walk this path. So, after exploring this amazing 1,400-year-old guide, the question really comes back to us, doesn't it? When you think about your own inner life, your own journey, which of these big metaphors really speaks to you? The disciplined workout, the nourishing feast, or that epic, long journey home? It's a pretty fascinating question to sit with.